Don't look now. But Alabama seems to be very, very much alive, and I think that is college football's worst nightmare. For a number of reasons we'll discuss here in just a second, but Alabama victorious in Tuscaloosa last night, 42-28 over LSU. What does this mean for Alabama going forward? What does this mean for them when it comes to what they're going to be the rest of the way? And what can we take away from last night? We'll talk about it here in just a second. First things first, make sure you're subscribed right here to the On3 YouTube channel. We are throttling full speed ahead like Jalen Milroe getting downhill last night against LSU's defense. That's us towards 200,000 subscribers. So if you have not yet subscribed, would encourage you to do so. It's college football and only college football, talking a lot about your Crimson Tide. Also, make sure you're following me on Twitter and on Instagram at JD Piquel, a great place for us to interact outside of just this channel. But again, make sure you're subscribed right here first. Follow me there second. We appreciate y'all in advance for that. So what did we see last night from Alabama? I think the best way to describe last night's effort is we saw Alabama just being Alabama. Like, to be real, we saw Jalen Milroe get in his bag like the TSA. LSU said, you know what, we're going to play a lot of zone coverage. We're going to force Jalen Milroe to fit it into windows. We're going to kind of just try and keep it all in front of us, not try and play too aggressive. I mean, of course, at times they kind of dialed it up. Harold Perkins, they cut him loose a little bit more last night if you're LSU. But as a whole, it was, hey, let's kind of keep it all in front of us and just give them some space and make them beat us that way. And Jalen Milroe said, you're giving me space? I'll take your space. Ran for 4 touchdowns, 20 carries, 155 yards. It was a clinic in every sense. And the box score is nice. The final score is nice. You'll take 42 points every single day of the week and twice on a Saturday night in Tuscaloosa. But what I loved so much was Jalen Milroe and the way that he operated last night. Every single decision he made, whether it was throwing the ball or running the ball, he made with 110% confidence. There was no second guessing himself. There was no, is this the right decision? It was, whether it's the right decision or not, I'm going to make it right by how I do this thing definitively downhill. I'm not second guessing myself. And we were there in Tuscaloosa when they lost to Texas, and it felt like Jalen Milroe, not that he lacked confidence, but it felt like he was trying to play in an offense that wasn't necessarily an offense for him. And I think you got to credit Tommy Rees for the way that they drew it up last night. And I know LSU's not a world beater defensively. We all understood that going in, but LSU still had really good players in that front seven. LSU had the guys to make that game interesting if they had played to their level of expectation and if Jalen Milroe hadn't brought the juice the way that he did last night. I saw Jalen Milroe in a very different way than we saw in week 2 take ownership of that Alabama offense. It was no longer Jalen Milroe running the Alabama offense. It was Jalen Milroe running his offense. So you hat tip Tommy Rees, but again, you hat tip Jalen Milroe because he made every single move with 100% definitive nature, whether he was running, whether he was throwing. Throwing the football, it wasn't like he lit it up. 15 for 23, 219, no touchdowns, no picks. Again, a lot more of what you need if you're the Alabama quarterback. A lot more of what this team needs, rather. And I think they're kind of finding their stride now where Jalen Milroe and the Alabama offense kind of go hand in hand in how they operate. Because before it was like, hey, if you're the Alabama quarterback, just kind of run the system, hand the ball off, don't try and do too much. Jalen Milroe didn't try and do too much last night, but he also did exactly what was asked of him in terms of being able to generate something with his legs. Again, we talked about LSU trying to play their zone coverage and trying to kind of keep it all in front of them. Jalen Milroe said, no, forget that. We're coming at you. We're knocking on the door. We're going to kick it down. And that was what they did offensively last night. Ton of credit to him. Ton of credit to the system as a whole under Tommy Rees. A real identity last night is what we saw from that Alabama offense. Now, defensively, was it perfect? No. Took your lumps. Want to know why? Because you played the best player, best quarterback to this point in the year in college football in Jaden Daniels. He has lit it up this season. And a lot of people saying, well, if Jaden Daniels stays in the game, is that a different game? I mean, does LSU make it closer? I don't know. But again, Alabama, I think they were in control of that game. I don't think it mattered whether or not Jaden Daniels stayed in the football game. Now, it would have made for a better TV product. I'll make that 100% clear. But the way that Alabama played defensively last night, again, another step towards what they're going to be the rest of the way, another tremendous progress mark for them. And again, night and day from what we saw when we were there on hand against Texas week 2. Because the offense itself, you won't see a more dynamic or explosive attack the rest of the way. Good news for Bama fans, there's only one Jaden Daniels in college football. Only one. So you won't have to play him again. And the real task last night was in the secondary, can you keep from having multiple guys beat you? can you keep it from being a thing where, again, going back to that Texas game, I hate going back to it, but I think it's a great progress mark for us to see how far they've come. It was Xavier Worthy eating. It was Jatavian Sanders eating. It was Adonai Mitchell eating. Last night, Malik Neighbors got you, but like that was pretty much it. Nobody else had more than 3 catches or over 40 yards receiving. And Alabama, they were very comfortable just keeping it simple. Like I think what we saw from them early in the year was teams would shift and adjust pre-snap, and Alabama, you would see a lot of palms up. Palms up high school was what I had old coaches call it. Hey, what are we doing here? I don't know what to do. I didn't see that from Bama last night. Whenever they shifted, Alabama said, we were in man coverage before. We're in man coverage now. Bring it on. Like that takes a tremendous amount of confidence in your guys and a tremendous amount of confidence internally within that unit to say, okay, we'll leave our guys out there on the island and we'll play underneath and we'll just kind of trust our guys to go do what we do against the best offense in the country in LSU. And it paid dividends last night, trusting their guys. Like, again, not perfect, but Alabama is so talented to where that defensive approach just needs to be good enough when the offense is clicking how it is. Again, complementary football. Every single weakness that this team has, every single hole this team has, there's a strength to help offset that. And that's why I think they're so dangerous right now. Because how many people, we had this narrative just absolutely shoved in our face. Bama's done. Saban's lost his fastball. Alabama, they're not what they used to be. Hey, look how those against Texas. That USF game, are you kidding me? That's Bama the rest of the year. Alabama is like Frankenstein right now. Fully alive. No more, what are they going to be in November? No more, oh, can they compete for a college football playoff berth? They can. Okay, last night is a testament, without a shadow of a doubt, they can be that team. Because the thing that I think encourages me, they're not done trending upward. Like last night, I would be surprised if that was the peak of what we get from Alabama in 2023. They're going to keep getting better. Defensively, I think they'll keep getting better. Jalen Milroe, I think, is just sort of getting into the positive in terms of what he can be. I think early in the year, he was in the negative, fought back to get back to neutral. And last night, I think, proved to the rest of the country as well as himself what he can do as the quarterback of this offense. They're going to get better. I wholeheartedly believe that. So, likely now, Alabama will show up in Atlanta with a chance to punch a ticket to the college football playoff. That's the assumption. What are they going to be going forward? We're going to find out. But I think, again, Saban hasn't lost his fastball. And not just from the development of X's and O's and what they do schematically. Like, I think in terms of being able to settle this team after that loss to Texas and restabilize them. You got to give a ton of credit to Nick Saban and the way that he's nurtured that locker room. The locker room deserves a ton of credit, but again, it starts at the top. It starts with Saban. So everyone's saying he's lost his fastball. He's not really the GOAT anymore. He's been passed by. All that was nonsense. We always knew it was. You probably always knew it was too, but now everybody else gets to see it. So, is this a national championship team? The answer is I don't see why not. Now, that's not a prediction. I'm just saying, going back to what we've talked about with the team for a minute now, the personnel itself has always been among the most talented in the country. When they're clicking the way they are, the way they did last night, and if they continue to trend upward the way that they have been all season since that Texas game, I wouldn't want to see them in November. Typical Saban team playing their best football at the end of the year, finding their mojo, finding their identity. I can't wait to watch what they do the rest of the way because it feels like they're not a complacent team. This isn't an Alabama team that feels entitled or like they somehow deserve something just because they got the script A. This is a team that I think has an edge to them. This is a team that I think enjoys what was said about them early in the year and looking back on that now, and they've used that as fuel. So with the way Jalen Milroe is playing, can they be a national title team? I don't see why not. But again, we'll see what happens with them the rest of the way. We'll watch them if they do punch their ticket to the college football playoff, and we'll see where they are this week in the rankings. But again, LSU 28, Alabama 42. It's a good LSU football team. And Alabama, like clockwork, took care of business. Lean into their physical abilities, lean into who they are. Bama, just being Bama. Make sure you subscribe, follow me on Twitter and on Instagram. Hey, we appreciate y'all. We love y'all. We're going to keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.